now return to the Jim Colbert Show.
Welcome back to the Jim Colbert Show, Real Radio 104.1, 407-916-1041. Text us easily at 77031. Welcome back. I am Jim. Deb is here.
Hello.
And so is Jack.
Hi there.
Ross is as well.
Money, 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 money.
You guys give it up. We have a brand new segment. This gentleman, you've heard him before with Ryan Holmes, Scott Brown from Edgewater Family Wealth. Our new segment's called It's Only Money. Good and loud for Mr. Scott Brown, guys.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. Out of debt, please.
Now, it's so funny because, we were talking about the segment a little bit earlier. You and I had breakfast, coffee / hung out for about an hour or so a few weeks back, talking about what we're going to do. And one of the funniest things, I have to vet everybody that comes on the air. And I have to tell you, to be quite honest with you, the things I really don't engage people with is money. And one of the reasons why is because it's such a personal thing. It's like religion and politics.
Oh, yeah.
There's such personal decisions. I would never want to give anybody advice that worked for me that doesn't maybe work for them because they don't look at life the way I do, or they don't roll the way I do, or whatever. So I have a hard time. And then it's so funny because the first thing we were talking, I said, well, tell me about yourself. Well, I wrote a book. And I'm like, that's cool. Let's learn about your book. And the book says, I've never made anybody rich.
I'm not great at marketing.
then I just paid for my coffee and left.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
But it's kind of funny because I think one of the reasons I wanted you to come on is because you really don't look at this like you're not in a suit.
No.
You don't have a $30,000 watch.
I don't.
You're not driving a Bentley. You don't have anything. You're a regular guy.
As far as you know.
Yeah. A regular guy with kids, and education. You started this thing almost by happenstance a while back.
Yep.
It worked out great. And you basically look at this in a real working man's way, the way of managing your money. It's not even like a get-rich thing. And I think that's one of the reasons you named the book this, is you never wanted to be viewed as someone who is there to make you rich fast. No meme stocks or no Bitcoin stuff. Just solid advice that you can use with any socioeconomic situation to make your situation better.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the problem with my industry. I'll start by picking on the Wall Street as an industry. Is that everything's complex. They make things complex on purpose because if you make something complex, it leads people to believe that the question they might ask would be stupid, or that they don't understand. And if they don't understand, they make bad decisions. They buy things maybe they shouldn't buy. They do things they shouldn't do. They buy crypto. They buy because none of it makes any sense to anybody.
Right.
And what I try to tell people is it's not complex. It's just hard, right? There's a difference. There's a difference between something being complex, like trying to understand maybe a spreadsheet or trying to look at a balance sheet of a company or whatever it is, or the complexities of an algorithm or a trading platform of some kind, and saving, right? You can talk, an advisor or somebody who's trying to sell you something can talk for hours about algorithms and betas and standard deviations and all these things till your head wants to explode. The reality is what they need to be telling you is to save and stop trying to get cute all the time. And then nobody wants to do that because that's not fun to talk about.
Right. That's not any fun. I was just telling these guys, when years ago I owned a printing company and I was invited to go give a speech to students about, what it's like to be a business owner and, big plans in life, because they thought, hey, he's a young business owner. He must really know what he's doing. And the first thing I told everybody, I'm dead broke. And I live my life dead broke.
Yep.
Go to work for a company and start saving money immediately. And I would tell anybody the same thing, and like we said, coming in, it's not that a lot of people look at the idea of finance and like, well, I need $20,000 to start, or I need this giant lump of money to make one smart investment, and I'll just sit back and coast and just collect those dividends, not realizing it's $50 a week. It's $50 a month starting at 22. It's leaving it alone. It's not rationalizing purchases that you really know you don't need. It's small things.
Yeah, people want to make it about something other than what it is, because if there's a secret, if there's a complexity to it, then they can avoid the hard part, right? If I can just stumble upon the right person or the right secret or the right opportunity or the right investment or the right stock, right? I was telling somebody the other day, if you want to tell your kid, like if your kid has a predisposition to do silly things, they want to buy stocks that they don't understand, they want to buy meme stocks, they want to buy crypto, here's what I would advise. Take them to the best neighborhoods in town, whether that's Isleworth or Heathrow or Winter Park, wherever, and have them go door to door and have them knock on every door and say, hey, How did you become so wealthy? There's not a single person. I will bet you the ranch. Not a person will open that door and say, well, dude, I bought some crypto last week and look at me now. They built a business. They suffered. They made mistakes. A lot of it is just survival. People say, look at Buffett and Charlie Munger. Well, most of their money was made after the age of 60.
Isn't that crazy? That's true, though.
Whoa. They're just old.
Yeah, they're just, Munger's, 91?
They're all both in their mid-90s now.
Buffett's in his 90s.
So that's hope, though, for people who think that if you didn't start in your 20s or you didn't start in your 30s, or you got kicked in the teeth during the Great Recession of 2009, that you still can't start over again and actually get somewhere.
A lot of very successful entrepreneurs and successful investment people got started late in life, made many mistakes, were broke 4 or 5 times along the way. That is the typical story. People are so afraid of making a mistake. They want perfection, and in pursuit of perfection, they do nothing.
And they don't want to be embarrassed. And it goes back to what you're talking about with the market. If you ask somebody and they start talking about the market, you won't get into a conversation because you'll get embarrassed. You don't know anything. You don't feel like you fit in.
Right.
And that male or ego, I shouldn't say male, but the ego.
No, a lot of times it's male.
Comes into play, and you're like, well, I'll just demur here, and that way I don't have to kind of make myself look silly, rather than just going, you know what, I don't know. And I'll ask the question. I'll let somebody who knows tell me. And then I'll go research that and figure out what's up.
Yeah, and questions are, it's okay not to know everything. I mean, that's job security for me, and I don't even know everything, and I've been doing this 36 years. But what is not okay is to be talked to in a way that leads you to believe it's so complex you can't ask a good question, right? If somebody's using jargon, they're saying terms that you don't really understand, it's up to you to say, whoa, can you speak to me in English? Because the reality is any idiot can make the complex complex. It takes a smart person who knows their craft to take the complex and explain it in a way that we can all understand.
Right. And that's good. And that's what you do over there at Edgewater?
That's what I try.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you think about it, it's kind of like dieting, right? It's simple, not easy.
Exactly.
But there's a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar industry built around doing everything but the simple.
Yeah.
And too often we equate simple to mean easy, and it's not. It's just eat less, exercise more.
Oh.
You could look at,
Wait.
Yeah.
Write that. Are you writing that down, Jack?
Not that I follow it, but eat less, exercise more.
Of course, you can do it like Jack does it. Jack is still spending money he made 96.
Not true, but
he is a nit. What they call
my
a
first
nit.
takeaway: if Munger and Buffett were 60 before they built the majority of their fortune, I got 4 years, so I'm gonna buy the Xbox Series X because
Is that what you're getting out of this?
I don't need to invest yet.
Yeah, is that what you're taking away?
All right, maybe not. I'm still taking notes.
Maybe I'm the wrong guy for the show.
Eat less.
It tanked on us immediately, buddy. Sorry.
Went south quickly.
We gave it a shot.
Yeah.
Exercise more. Got it.
Yeah,
So
Russ.
I have a money question. This is what's been really kind of weighing on me these last couple of months. So I own a home. Correction, my wife owned a home, and then I married her.
Yes.
Very big
good
deal.
Well done. Well done. Yes.
First of all,
Congratulations.
how is that for a financial
That's the
native,
first
right?
chapter of my book. Thank you.
God, I was just making a joke right here. My God almighty, I picked the book up to even make it with a visual.
But the one thing that I am still hung up on is, I even said it earlier today. I wrote it down in my journal. I worded it like, I don't know where to point my money gun. So say I have some capital, I've saved a little bit of a strong nut in a savings account, and then I think about, all right, the interest rates in that savings account is 4.15, so I'm getting some high interest monthly. I enjoy free money. Who doesn't? However, I don't know if keeping that money in that savings account and getting that interest grown is less or more than if I just started paying off my house quicker and defeating that interest rate on the back end and kind of just not seeing any fruits of my labor until the house is paid off.
So this is back to the original thesis, which is there's no right or wrong here, right? I mean, there are obviously stupid things you can do with money, but none of the choices that you've given me are stupid. A is you keep the money in a savings account and keep making your house payment. B is you pay off the house, right? Which is probably maybe at a higher rate than before.
No, interest rate is actually we
They get a perfect time.
Yeah, we did it. We are one of the
Below
kings
3.
and queens. We're below 3 because of COVID.
Okay, so that's beautiful, right? So if you do the simple math, you're earning 4, you're paying 3, you say to yourself, well, the arbitrage there says I'm up 1% on an annualized basis, right? That's part of it. But
Okay. Hold on.
Keep the
Did
money
I just
in
talk
the-
over his head?
Okay,
Yeah.
It was
that
just
hurt my head too.
There was like 2 or 3 words
The
there.
arbitrage.
Can we get the 12-year-old CPR?
I just violated my own rule there. I apologize.
Eat
Yeah.
less, exercise
Yes.
more.
Just one more time there, because that
My Achilles!
yeah, that sounded great. That sounded great, but I did not soak it in.
All right, so 4 is more than 3.
Got it.
Right, you're getting 4, you're paying 3. 4 minus 3 is 1, so you're 1 ahead, 1% ahead on the equation on an annual basis.
All right. So when it comes to that annual basis, though, however, isn't that under 3 financial financial rate is
Also, the tax implications of having your mortgage, too.
Yeah, that also depends on how much is the house worth, right? And seeing if I can chip away on all of that interest that a house always ends up being. So, like, doesn't it kind of? You said that there's no wrong answer there, but in my brain, I'm like, well, there has to be a wrong answer. Maybe I'm just not doing the math. Maybe I'm not even asking the question correctly.
No, you are.
Because you're going to be able to boil that down in a black and white math, equation of being able to find out where does a dollar go further. Is it in the savings account, or is it taking off an interest? But the good news is that you did give me a lot of confidence by going, both of those are great.
Yeah, so there's a good and a better answer, right?
Yeah.
There's basically you keep saving and then you pay off your house in 25 years from now or 20 years from now, whenever it's paid off, you have money in savings on that paid off house, right? You could go the other route, right? You could say, let me just pay off the house. Now, I never discount the sleepability factor of having a home paid for. I personally paid off my home ahead of schedule. Now, my rate was a lot higher back in the day when I bought my house, so I wanted to eliminate that 7% debt I was paying.
Yeah.
But the reality is, for some people, it's really about you and your personality traits. If a person comes to me and they're a good saver, and they say, well, I've got $100,000 and I owe $100,000, and I say, well, I know you're going to save it back up, so go ahead and get rid of the cost of the house. The sleepability factor is really high. But if somebody's not a good saver, and I know they're not particularly responsible when it comes to saving, I might say, you know what, put the $100,000 in the bank, save it for a rainy day or for your retirement, keep making your mortgage payment, because I know one thing. They will always make that mortgage payment.
Yeah.
But they may not resave the $100,000 that they threw into it.
So you just basically cater the situation to them personally and their personality traits and how they spend money and how they look at money.
100%, because that's in my book, actually. There's a chapter in there about this. People are so caught up in right and wrong. There's just, in this case, there's good or better, and how practical and responsible you are comes into the decision making.
Yeah. Well, what about somebody like leaving that? What if somebody? What would you say about somebody just paying their house off of the 401k? Like, you had money saved up in your 401k, you're getting to that time in your life, and you're like looking at your mortgage, you're looking at your 401k, they're about the same. We're like, well, I could just pay this house off and keep going. Do people do that?
Sadly, they do. So it's generally a very bad idea. And the reason for that is it's very expensive money, right? So if you take $1 out, if you need $1, you got to take out $1.30 or $1.40.
Right.
So you're depleting your 401k assets pretty rapidly by doing. So you're paying, again, if you're paying 3 or 4 or 5% for a mortgage, yes, that's not ideal, and no, you don't like to see it. But the reality is, if you need $50,000, you now got to take out $70,000
right
to do that. So it's really a bad equation. That is a bad choice.
Yeah. All right, 407-916-1041. Text us at 77031. Scott Brown here with us from Edgewater Family Wealth. This is all about money.
It's only money.
It's all the money. And this is our new segment, by the way. We'll be doing this every Tuesday to kind of inform you about what's happening with your money. When it comes to your book, is there a particular chapter you think rings better with people who are coming to you new? Like, what is the introduction like with Edgewater Family Wealth? If you're coming in, you're like, look, I want to change my outlook. I'm 35 years old. I'm Ross. I'm 34, 35 years old. Here's what I can save. What would you tell somebody in that era of their life,
Save. Be disciplined.
Just save.
Do not take on debt that you don't need to take. I mean, these are all simple concepts. I even hate to say them, but the reality is, again, not complex but hard. Save. I really believe people are savers till they get 30, 40, 50 grand in the bank because, again, let's face it, if you had $1,000 and I doubled it, now you have $2,000, right? I'm not going to change your life by doing that. What's going to change your life is to save 40 or 50 grand,
right?
And then slowly accumulate over time in optimal investments that maybe earn you 6, 7, 8, 9% a year if you're lucky. That'll change your life. Saving will change your life. Investing $1,000 in crypto, even if it doubles, even if it triples, is not going to change your life.
Right. But obviously, and the risk there is ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Look, if it's a shortcut, it's probably not the right way to go. Right? I mean, shortcuts rarely pay off. But I'm going to use the same example I just gave you. Go door to door in the wealthiest neighborhood you can find. Knock on every door, hundreds of doors. Walk through Isleworth if they'll let you in. You probably have to climb over the wall.
Yeah, no.
But when you get in there,
go back.
do it fast because they'll find you. But when you're in there, ask every person in that joint, the ones that actually have money.
Right.
Some of them are fake over there.
Yeah.
Big hats, no cattle, as they say.
Yep.
But the reality is most of those people started businesses, had failed businesses, went to college to become doctors or whatever the case may be. They're entrepreneurs, but they did it the right way, which is the long way.
Yeah, and it's weird. Outside of their investments, like you see somebody in a big piece of real estate, a lot of times they don't even really live that lifestyle. The real estate, it's an investment in itself.
Yeah, that's right.
So that you will see a big house, maybe a nice car, but the other car will be like a pickup truck, and you go in the house, and it's modestly appropriated. They don't wear real expensive name brand clothing or watches. They don't spend money on stuff like that because it's dumb. Like I was talking to a cousin of mine the other day, and he's like fascinated with these big pickup trucks and all these lifted trucks and some land. All I see more insurance, more fuel, depreciating value. That's all I see when I see that. I don't see cool. There's nothing cool about it. Nobody's going to come to your house or drive by to see your truck. It's just a gigantic anchor for your life sitting in your driveway every day that two of your redneck friends think is cool.
No,
and they're broke as you.
The average millionaire next door in studies that have been done, the most driven vehicle by a millionaire who's not inherited money but actually made their money, which is most, is a Ford F-150.
Yeah, right, F-150 or a Camry or something like that.
Or a Camry.
Right?
It used to be a Taurus. They don't make those anymore.
Right.
Yeah, those were the most, and the average millionaire next door has never spent more than $300 on a watch.
Yeah, exactly. And Buffett lives in the same house he lived in when he started making his money, and as far as I know, drives the same style car.
I believe it's a Lincoln,
an old town car.
Yeah.
Yep. That guy's worth like $70 billion.
Yep.
So,
it's an inconceivable amount of wealth.
I'm kind of afraid to ask this question because I'm afraid that the answer might be a little too bleak.
Please be stupid. Please be stupid. Please be stupid.
And this Isleworth knock on everybody's doors metaphor and example, you were saying that a lot of these guys, failed businesses, and then they had a successful business. They went to school and all of that. But the one thing that I heard there, and I do agree that's got to be, the vast majority of those people, but are there any people with a 9-to-5?
Yes.
Is there any way to get to, let's say, Isleworth with not being a boss or a small business owner that caught fire? Can you be somebody else's worker and end up in a situation like Isleworth?
Well, I would argue you don't want to be in Isleworth. That's my personal opinion because you wouldn't get to where you're going if that was your goal, right? So there are over like 500,000 401k millionaires in this country. People who've literally just put money into a 401k since the day they started and didn't fiddle with it too much, let the markets go up and down, do what they do, and retired. I personally have retired about 10 people who were just, quote unquote, just employees who saved money in a 401k and had over six figures. 7 figures.
That was not a bleak answer.
Yeah, no.
It's very doable.
And again,
doable.
That's a perfect saying, by the way. It's not complicated. It's just hard. In other words, it just takes discipline. Yeah, I mean, and Deb made the perfect analogy. Dieting is tough. You know what you want to be. You want to be 155. You're 180, and you realize that's a lot of weight to lose, and you realize what it has to do. But it's
you'd rather spend that $60 on those pills that are going to take the weight off without having to eat less and exercise more.
Or Deborah, it's Sunday. And you know what? And wings don't eat themselves.
Yeah, football's on.
Football's on.
Calories don't count on the weekend.
Well, Scott, buddy, we cannot wait for this relationship. We really look forward to it. Just today has been great. I know people have been asking questions. The texting service will start incorporating that. I'm going to go through your book. We'll start talking about steps that people can start taking to enhance their lives financially and make them a little bit better. Things that are achievable, too, by the way, because, we do another segment with a woman named Candace who talks about credit score and how important that is and stuff. And, one of the number one questions is, well, if my credit is bad, how do I get it to where it's usable again? And there are some things, but I know professionally there are things as well that maybe even if your credit score isn't bad, it still doesn't keep you from saving and then using that money elsewhere as well. So we'll continue to do those things too.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, really good seeing you, buddy. Give it up for Scott Brown.
Oh, yeah!
It's Only Money Tuesdays right here at 520 on Real Radio 104.1.